What's up, guys and gals, G.I. Joe fans, and non-G.I. Joe fans alike? If you're watching this, checking this out, here's another look at another 2001 G.I. Joe versus Cobra 2-pack. This one featuring Snake Eyes versus Storm Shadow. Big thanks again to the bro, Chris, RexFlexAll69 for hooking me up with this pack. Bit of nostalgia for me. If you saw the previous one with Duke and Cobra Commander, I'll try not to repeat myself too much, talking about the line and its history and stuff. But I've been a G.I. Joe collector since the very first ones in the 3 3/4 scale. Since '84 or no 82, 83, something like that. Anyway, 2001. This was the first time Hasbro, did a really new design on the Joes, and it was exciting, but it also kind of fell short of collectors' interest and expectations. But here we are, nearly 20 years later. I collected all these back then, but long since gotten rid of them. But it's kind of like nostalgia for me now. Of a somewhat forgotten era in G.I. Joe. So anyway, there's a look at the packaging and the back of the packaging with all that really cool artwork of the characters that the figures didn't actually look nearly as good as artwork. And so there you have it. Let's go ahead and crack this open and give you guys a closer look at these figures. Okay, there's the figures, but let's take a quick look at this. This is inside the package that has that little background. And it's a little underscaled to use it as a display, but still pretty cool. And the file cards. So there's that, and let's go ahead and take a look at Snake Eyes. So again, if you saw the previous one with Duke and Cobra Commander, we got some cool new designs for these characters. Look at this Snake Eyes. The design is actually really cool, but it just falls a little short, and is in the proportions that are a little overly done, and of course the lack of articulation. But I want to say the design is actually there. It looks really cool. So he has his swords, and the sheaths is a backpack that is removable. Both swords. I can get it out. There you go. And he does hold them pretty well. That's always good. Nice tight grip. That looks pretty cool. It's just a shame, again, about the articulation. But swords aside, he also came with a little knife that can go into the sheath right there. Throw this back on, and wouldn't be Snake Eyes without a little Uzi as well. So for new Snake Eyes, for a new generation, a new era, even though I want to think that even at the time, 2001, Hasbro was largely aiming these at the collectors and the fans, longtime fans and collectors of G.I. Joe who would be adults already. It's a cool looking Snake Eyes, just lacking in departments that collectors that are important to collectors, but it makes a great toy for a kid who would be interested in G.I. Joe. And then we have Storm Shadow. You know, you can't have either of the Sword Brothers without the other. So naturally, they packed Storm Shadow with Snake Eyes, and this new design of Storm Shadow is also it's not great, but it's pretty good. I mean, the artwork looked amazing, but this one is just a little more lacking, not just in the proportions and the articulation stuff than Snake Eyes. Is something, I think it's largely the way the head was done. The hood and the mask and everything could have looked cooler, and yeah, there is some discoloration already, some yellowing. Things, you know, who knows where the bro Chris had these stored, probably in the garage, and you know, these things are nearly 20 years old. So anyway, still a pretty cool new design, and if I'm not mistaken, later on in the 25th line or something later than 25th, they actually did an updated version of this design, I think, or was it the later Valor versus Venom one or something. Anyway, his swords, he's got different swords than Snake Eyes. Which I'm no expert on this stuff, but I want to say these swords look a little more Chinese than Japanese, but still really cool. And I'm not sure, there was two of these. I'm not sure if they were both supposed to be for Snake Eyes, even though he only has one sheath. Oh no, wait. Yeah, he only has one sheath that it can go into, but Storm Shadow here does not have any. But there's that. Throw those swords back. And he also comes with an Uzi with a suppressor on there, which makes sense. If you're a ninja, you're gonna use a firearm, you should have a suppressor for that stealthiness. So that looks pretty cool, actually. Running gun. But again, you know, cool updated or new designs. And I'm just realizing when I'm looking at Storm Shadow, he has Cobra logos on his, which doesn't make sense that Cobra logos be printed. These things are wraps. But oh, there you go. And Snake Eyes has just on one of his calves right there. And again, it doesn't make sense. You have the logo right there. Those are wraps. But you know, hey, that's Hasbro for you. These are just toys. They're not real, right? So anyway, there you have it. Another G.I. Joe vs. Cobra 2-pack, and you know, despite their bulkiness and you know unrealistic proportions, which Snake Eyes here or Storm Shadow, not as badly proportioned. Snake Eyes a little too buff, but aside from the proportions and the, you know, lack of detail and articulation, I still think, you know, especially for 2001, I'm trying to remember what my where my mind was at in 2001, but I'm saying just even right now, the designs on these guys are actually still pretty cool, despite the, you know, the departments they're lacking in. But again, like I mentioned in the Duke and Cobra Commander one, you know, because of the style, the design and style and lack of articulation, these guys can actually go well with the Lantern, the core Elite figures. Make a cool little crossover. So there you have it. Big thanks again to Chris, RexFlexAll69. Really appreciate it. Kind of cool, you know, trip down memory lane with these guys. So there you guys have it.